Teachers, don't let anything or anybody bring you down. We are on the right path.
I believe teachers are the most amazing people in the world, the people who I respect the most.
Say this is a way we can make our classes much more enjoyable for our students and also achieve our objectives. So
bringing the world into the classroom, bring diversity, bring other cultures, bring other places, other real people.
Good afternoon to all the teachers attending the TDC, Teaching Development Conference 2022, organized by SBS Librería Internacional. In this new edition, we meet again through the virtual format, using tools that allow us to meet with colleagues connected from different parts of our country. I've seen people here from Cusco, La Libertad, even from Bolivia, Tacna. Thank you very much. And also we have people from different countries such as Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, Bolivia, Ecuador, among others. On behalf of SBS Librería Internacional, I would like to thank you for attending this event. We are in a continuous improvement of virtual education, and we're trying to balance our post-COVID reality to enhance both our virtual and face-to-face classes with amazing tools. At SBS, we have this great opportunity to be in contact with the best publishers in the world. And this makes it possible for us to bring together in a single event some of the best international specialists representing their publishers and bringing with them knowledge that has been developed in different parts of the world and to apply it successfully in our English teaching here in our schools, cities, and countries. Without further ado, I'd like to invite you to watch the following video with me. Let's go, team.
En SBS, Librería Internacional, estamos comprometidos con la educación y la difusión de la cultura a través de materiales físicos y digitales. Somos una de las cadenas más grandes de Sudamérica, orientada a producir y distribuir libros de idiomas, académicos y de interés general, así como bibliografía clásica e imprescindible. Hemos consolidado nuestra presencia en Perú con librerías ubicadas estratégicamente en los departamentos de Lima, Cusco, Arequipa, Trujillo, Piura, Chiclayo, Iquitos y Huancayo. Además de una librería online, donde presentamos una gran variedad de títulos que podrás recibir desde la comodidad de tu hogar, gracias a nuestro servicio de delivery a nivel nacional. SBS Librería Internacional. Soluciones para quien enseña y para quien aprende.
Thank you very much, Team SBS. Now I'm going to talk about how certificates of attendance to this event will be issued. All registered participants of the event will receive a link at the end of the TDC so they can register their information for the certificate. The certificate will be awarded to participants who attend 70% of the TDC conferences. That is, at least 5 conferences. If you have not yet registered, please do it now. In the comments, you will have a link to registration as well. Very good. Now, to start, I want to thank the publisher, Oxford University Press, for participating in this event. Oxford University Press is part of one of the greatest universities in the world, and everything they do furthers the University of Oxford's objective of excellence in research, scholarship, and education by publishing worldwide. It's why they invest back into education and research and champion a love of learning. They are the world's largest university press and the widest global presence. Their products are sold in around 200 countries and regions, in more than 85 languages, and they publish over 2,500 titles per year. During their 500-year history, they have evolved the development and delivery of a world-class content, working with educators and the scholarly community to find new ways to make information accessible. To get to know a bit more about Oxford University Press, let's watch this video. Let's go, team.
Learning underpin the progress we make as individuals and as a society. When we know more, we can solve new problems and explore fresh possibilities. For hundreds of years, Oxford University Press has been committed to sharing the best in human thinking. From a child reading their very first words to a researcher expanding the frontiers of their field, we passionately believe in the transformative power of knowledge and learning to inspire progress and realize human potential. But the world is changing. When all information is at our fingertips, data needs understanding. As content crowds every screen, ideas need space to breathe. And when the next great thinker can come from anywhere, they need to be seen. So Oxford University Press is changing too. Whether we're making learning work for anyone, anywhere, anytime, connecting a global community of English language learners, or helping influential ideas achieve greatest impact, we will meet the needs of education and research in new ways, with new ideas, for new audiences. For as long as the world keeps making progress, we will always be advancing knowledge and learning. Oxford University Press. Advancing knowledge and learning.
Of the afternoon, the renowned consultant Claudia Lopez, with the topic, Let's Gamify, when gamification meets neuroscience in the English classroom. Claudia Lopez has been involved in the educational sector for over 30 years in a variety of contexts, including teaching, teacher training, consultancy, and material development. She's a psychologist and holds an MBA in marketing, a specialization in psychopedagogy, and is a certified media and information literacy trainer. A strong believer in continuous professional development, her main interests are active methodologies, global skills, and the science of learning. As well as presenting at international conferences, Claudia has also written and delivered teacher training workshops, both face-to-face and online, for teachers in Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, Peru, Portugal, and Turkey. Currently, she's a postgrad student in neuroscience, education, and child development, and works as a senior professional development services consultant for Oxford University Press. Welcome to the TDC, Claudia.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, and thank you all for attending this session. I'm talking to you from the beautiful city of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and I'm honored to be part of the TDC 2022. I would like to thank SBS Livraria Internacional, SBS Educación, and Oxford University Press for this opportunity. So let's gamify. Let's talk about gamification. Today, we are going to talk about a very special topic. The theme of the TDC 2022 is teaching future generations. And I believe that the topic we are going to share with you today is totally connected. So welcome to Let's Gamify, when gamification meets neuroscience in the English classroom. The use of new approaches and tools to promote active learning in language classes is no longer a trend, it is a reality. Many educators wonder how to create fluid and effective learning environments within this myriad of complex microcosms we have in our classes. How can we get closer to our students, creating real engagement? I always ask myself this question. And in this presentation, we will analyze and demystify the concept of gamification and its implementation, and we will also analyze how our brain learns and reacts to gamified environments. We are going to list some ideas on how to incorporate gamification into lessons and courses, and at the end of the session, you're going to receive access to a link with all the tools I will mention and also a selection of the slides. So relax, and I hope you enjoy what we have prepared for you. Are you ready? Let's gamify. So let's start with this activity that I really love. Let's have a kind of guessing game. In this word cloud, you can find info about me. What you have to do is, using the chat box, you are going to ask me questions so that you can get the answers that are in this word cloud, okay? You can see the answers, and now you ask me the questions. Let's do it. Are you ready? Let's go to the chat box. Waiting for the questions. Many people are already answering. Oh. Many people are interacting. That's great. Yeah, William, I practice yoga, and Solo asked me where I live. So I live in Rio de Janeiro, and Kelly, I'm not from Tarapoto, but if I could, I would be there today. It was one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to, and I would like to go back to Tarapoto one more time, at least. Jean-Pierre, this is also a possible question, my favorite place in Peru. And wow, many people asking me questions. And there you can find the answers. Yes, Sylvia, to relax, I practice yoga, drink all kinds of juice because I love drinking juice. And yes, my favorite type of music is rock and roll. That's right. My name is Cláudia Valéria, and I live in Rio de Janeiro, and I love, yes, my favorite food is cheese, all kinds of cheese. And Mil asked me about where I am from and what I do. I'm a psychologist, and let's see, more people. Oh, Paola. She asked me if I like drinking water. Yes, I love drinking water. I guess that this is my only addiction. And I drink usually 3 liters of water per day. Wow, many people interacting. This is amazing. This is great. And yeah. And Lorebe, sorry if I pronounced your name in the wrong way, but Lorebe asked me if I still play Tetris. Yes, I do. This is my favorite game. I love. And in my free time, I love playing, practicing yoga, reading, thinking about new places to go. And if you take a look at this slide, you are going to see that this is something very easy to produce. This is simple, but effective. This activity was created using a word cloud generator and an avatar creator. Students, they just love to know more about their teachers and find out that we are not aliens. You can use this activity as an icebreaker in the very first class, and students will enjoy creating their own word clouds. Try it. You are all going to have a good time, I'm sure, and your students too. So I hope you have enjoyed this activity, and now let's talk a bit more about gamification. You all know that I love playing Tetris. This is a game. I'm going to ask you another question now. If you were a game, which one would you be? I would be Tetris, and I'm a gamer since childhood. Now tell us, if you were a game, which one would you be? Let's use the chat box. Wow, there are so many questions here. I would love to have time to talk to all of you and answer all of them. Wow, now we can see people's contributions. Games. Mario Bros, Pokemon game, hide and seek, Street Fighter, chess. I love chess. Pac-Man, I love Pac-Man. Wow, different people like different things. We can see Monopoly, Tic-Tac-Toe, Minecraft. You were amazing, guys. And this is very important. Different people mentioning different games with different options. And something that we can also address is that humans have been playing games for thousands of years. Board games were played by people in ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt. Today, video games are played by everyone around the world. We play them on our mobile devices at any time, anywhere. Well, let's think for a while. Is your life gamified? Yes or no? In my opinion, gamification is everywhere. Our sleep and activities can be gamified. I use this watch, and I can tell you that the results are pretty impressive, and it helps me gamify my life. Some people use apps to remind them to drink water or to move when they are working or studying for long periods of time. Gamification is everywhere. Your kids' meals can be gamified. Cute, isn't it? The way you go from one floor to another one can also be gamified. Take a look at this picture and think, which one would you choose? The lift, the stairs, or the slides? This is one of the most beautiful schools I've ever visited in my life. It's in Bahia, Brazil. And in that school, almost everything is gamified. So it's a very interesting place to visit, to work, and for students to develop their skills and learn. But now I have a very serious question to ask you. In order to implement effective gamification, we need to know our students. And do you really know your students? What do you think? Do you really know them? In our daily practice, we deal with different generations. And different generations have different motivations. Take a look at these people in the slide. They could be your students. They are from different generations. Which generation do you belong to? What about your students? If you have Zs, teens, and alphas, children, in your classes, you have very special people. They are very quick, technology-driven, and unfortunately, very anxious. The world is anxious. And active methodologies are perfect for them. Gamification can surely add a special flavor to your classes. And gamification can boost the way you deal with your students. Now we are going to talk about one of my favorite topics, when gamification meets neuroscience in the English classroom. Neuroscience can be defined as the scientific exploration of the nervous system. Neuroscience helps us to see what we get out of games, why they make us feel good, and how they can help us retain information. When we talk about neuroscience, we obviously talk about this masterpiece, the brain. We know that learning begins with curiosity, attention, engagement. And there are no defined biological limits to what a brain can achieve. Unfortunately, students and teachers are generally unaware of how the brain really works and all the possible ways to maximize the learning process. Talking a bit about the neurons, we can find that they are very interesting cells. They love gossiping. Once one gets to know something new, this neuron will immediately tell his neighbors about it. And this way, the neurons chat are through the synapses. In other words, we have more than 80 billion neurons. And when we encounter, when we get in touch, when we interact with something new, in our environments, some of those brain cells will become very active. They will fire. That firing results in the neuron sending a message across a synapse. The synapse is a space between the brain cells to other neurons. The brain, this amazing organ, is formed by two hemispheres, and the brain cortex, the surface of the brain, a very thin area, is divided into 4 different lobes you can see in this picture. These 4 lobes are very important to learning. Each lobe is responsible for different abilities. And the frontal lobe, here, right here, is the meeting point of reason and emotion. It is also responsible for planning and speech. The parietal lobe is where the senses are processed: touch, temperature, pain, and it is also responsible for sequencing and logics. The occipital lobe is responsible for visual perception, and the temporal lobe is where listening, vocabulary, and memory are processed. Interesting connections, right? And this is awesome. Take a look at this picture. If we plan our classes addressing and integrating skills, we can activate the whole brain. This is fantastic. This is very important. And this has everything to do with the concept of neuroplasticity. The synaptic connections between neurons are not fixed, and they can be modified by learning. This fantastic thing is the brain's ability to change and grow as you navigate the world around you. And good humor and positive emotions can boost plasticity. It is much easier to associate things when there is meaning and an emotional link. And talking about games and the brain, there is something very, very, very positive. In games, we receive immediate feedback. And these generations, the alphas, the Zs, they demand this. When we have in class pleasant activities, when they receive rewards, this makes them feel really good. And this produces dopamine. Dopamine is an organic chemical responsible for predicting pleasure. And when a student succeeds in a task, dopamine is released. The brain gets flooded with dopamine, and this student will ask for more. A loop is formed. It works as a trigger, and the student will be eager to start another activity as soon as possible to get more rewards, more points, more dopamine. Something very interesting that we can say is that certain rewards produce dopamine. If the student knows that he's going to receive, for example, 1 extra point for something that he did correctly, dopamine will be there. But uncertain rewards produce much more dopamine. If a student is correct, he will spin the wheel and see what he's going to get. So this uncertain reward will produce much more dopamine. And also, anticipation to receive rewards releases a lot of dopamine, much more dopamine than receiving the actual rewards. So, talking about all these interesting things and noticing how the brain reacts in a gamified environment, we can say that games are welcome, games are great, and according to Sid Meier, games are a series of interesting decisions. And a game is also a system with rules, challenge, feedback, interaction, fun, and preferably, probably, possibly, an emotional response. If there are no rules, it's not a game. It's play. And what is gamification? How could we define gamification? In a nutshell, gamification is the use of game design elements in non-game contexts. In the mechanics of games, we have loads of things involved. Avatars, storytelling related to narrative, goals, team play, time constraints, levels, points, progress bars, leaderboards, and prizes. But what is not gamification? Gamification doesn't mean just having fun in the class, just for the sake of laughing and having a good moment with your students. Gamification is not competition, and sad to say that, but it does not work for everyone. And it's not just about points and leaderboards, but something very positive. It does not require a huge number of resources. It doesn't need sophisticated graphics and also tools to engage users. And then many teachers, many colleagues ask me, why? Why should we gamify? First of all, because it's engaging. And in class, on a daily basis, we chase this magic word, engagement. Also, gamification is connected to immediate feedback, and these new generations demand this. It's an option to fail and try again, and it can also empower students. It can be easily adapted for any type of teaching, and it can be used to practice all language skills. And the best thing, it makes learning really fun, great fun. And according to the brilliant Ralph Koster in his theory of fun, well, fun is a neurochemical reward to encourage us to keep trying. And now you may be asking yourselves, I would like to see some tools, some ideas for gamification. Claudia, can you share some tools? Yes, sure. But we are going to share ideas, see some tools, but first of all, let's bear in mind that we need a clear pedagogical purpose for each tool we use. Gamification should be one tool in a larger toolbox. You can use Kahoot, you can use quizzes, Mentimeter, the excellent Class Jojo. You can play Taboo. You can use the awesome perfect, amazing Classcraft. If you don't know that yet, take a look afterwards. Classcraft, that's wow, amazing. But you do need to have a clear pedagogical intention. We also need to consider that gamifying is something very flexible. You can use analogic or digital tools. Let's go back to the chat now and let's share your favorite apps and platforms. Some people have already said here, Roxana likes word wall. Yeah, Flippity, Roxana. Flippity is also very good. Odalis likes word wall. Roxana, I agree entirely with you. Wheels of names, it helps a lot in the class. And let's put more, let's write more in the chat. Tell us, what are your favorite apps and platforms and games? So Padlet, great way of gamifying your classes. Kahoot, quizzes. Menti is very nice. So you see, there are many things we can use. We can use Padlet to interact with students, to work as a repository of contents and things they prepare, but we can also use it to gamify classes. You can use Stopwatch, Jamboard, Genially. This is great. Neopod is amazing. Thank you all for your participation. Carmen, Rocio, Paola, Ruth, Mile, thank you very much. Jimena, Maria Angela, thank you, Sylvia. Great ideas, Leo, great games, great possibilities. Thanks for sharing. And we can do several different things. Think about variety and flexibility. You can use a digital taboo to play with them, dealing with vocabulary, for example, or you can get a simple one, and Post-its, and they can write the words, and they can create their own games. You can use Jamboard. We can use several possibilities. But the most important thing is to keep in mind that we need to have a clear pedagogic intention. And we should also use our creativity and let our students use theirs. Do your students like memes? Do you like memes? I'm sure that teenagers and kids do. And you too. Why not having a memes contest with them? Memes contests are very good. You can practice several things. They can write, they can explain, they can talk about their memes, they can present their ideas, they can share their ideas. And if you set time limits, define goals, the rules, and the tools they are going to use, this activity is going to be very successful. Memes are in trend, Caroline, exactly. And these ones were really great fun to do with the students. You can see 3 examples here. I love all of them. The first one was done with kids, in a kids group. The second one with teenagers, and the last one with kids again. And to prepare these memes, it was very easy. We used some apps like NASA Selfies, Bitmoji, and Meme Generator. It was not difficult at all. Engagement was really high, and they produced great things. Great things. And when dealing with kids, you can also use avatar creators like Bitmoji to create lovely narratives. For shy students using avatars in class, wow, it is a bless. When they use avatars, they feel comfortable, they feel protected. It's great fun. They can create their avatars. They can have a good time. You can review language. You can do many things in class. Something that many people ask me is that when you have an activity, a regular activity in class, and you decide to use a stopwatch, the use of stopwatches, the setting of time limits, is there gamifying? What do you think? Go to the chat. Tell us. When I set time limits, when I use a stopwatch in an activity, is that gamification? What do you think? What's your opinion? Let's go to the chat. Yes. Luis Drian said something very important that I'm going to retain here and address in a few seconds. Yes, Roxana, when we set time limits, it's part of the rules. So we are gamifying. Right. Yeah, Gisela, we are adding more challenge to the task. It's a challenge for them. Yeah, Milton. And I can say that Luis Drian is really connected with the topic because he wrote here something very, very, very important. Sometimes time can be an issue. Sometimes students hurry so much to get the prizes, to finish the tasks, that they don't pay attention to what they are doing. So you have to be clear, crystal clear, when setting time limits and explaining the rubrics. This is very important. This is crucial for the success of the activity. One very special game strategy you can use in class to gamify your lessons are escape rooms. Escape rooms are very interesting. Teenagers love them. And you can have great fun in class and also review contents. You can ask your students to create their own escape rooms. They can use Genially, PowerPoint slides, Google Forms. They can use QR codes. They create the clues and hide them inside QR codes and hide them in the classroom. Face-to-face classes, you can have all the QR codes hidden and they find the clues and have their escape rooms in a very simple and practical way. I love using the great Clary Sketch. I don't know if you are familiar with this platform, but it's very useful. And your students can create their escape rooms and other projects using this app. They can use it in a tablet or they can use it in a mobile phone. They can download pictures, they can take pictures, and they can sketch. They can use their voices. They can share. And they can create clues and great interaction. There are many things we can do with our students, but let's keep the pedagogical intention very clear all the time. I love reading, and I love promoting extensive reading tasks. And word clouds can be very effective to create games with books that students are reading as extensive reading. They can choose words from the word cloud and make true sentences. They can ask questions in a team competition. They can talk for 1 minute using as many words as they can. The sky is the limit. And when it comes to reading, you can have puzzles like this one. Your students can create their own jigsaw readings in groups, and you can have a great time in class. This one is very nice. You are going to receive a QR code at the end of the presentation, and this one is going to be there. And you can use this as a model, and your students can create, adapt, create new ones. Let's try this one. I'm going to choose Harry Potter. So, once upon a time, there was a lonely orphan called Harry Potter, who was friends with two social outcasts, Ron and Hermione. The trio lived happily until an evil Voldemort tried to take over Muggles and Wizards' world. Thankfully, Harry Potter defeats Voldemort with a magic wand, and everyone lives happily ever after. So you can create different possibilities with your students. They can create. They can be prosumers. They are not just receiving knowledge, receiving the tasks ready-made. They are producing. And, well, when we talk about gamification, we talk about rewards. But it's not that easy rewarding students. Awarding points is fine, but we should consider that it gives short-term motivation. Sometimes the students just focus on getting points. Sometimes they cheat to get more points. We need a more comprehensive strategy. Let me ask you something. How do you award your students in class? What type of prizes do you use? Share with us. Go to the chat. Tell us. Ruth, we are going to give you a code at the end of the presentation, and you are going to have access to all the slides, and then you are going to find the jigsaw reading there, okay? Thanks for asking. So, Mill uses extra points. Extra points, Rosanna. Yes. Oops, sorry. Oh, how interesting. Leo said something very important. Rewards appeals to extrinsic motivation only. So awarding points is fine, but it gives short-term motivation. Exactly, Leo. And some people use chocolate, others use candies. Praise them. Yes, Milton. Real praises from the heart. Genuine praises. This is very, very important. And I agree with Jean-Paul. We must touch their intrinsic motivation. I agree entirely with you. Some points, candy, balloons, clapping. Play their favorite song next class. That's great. That's a great strategy. Golden stars, make them feel good. Motivational stamps. I love motivational stamps. And sometimes, when we give them these rewards, I agree entirely with Jean-Paul, because he says that the rewards must be related to their real interests. So, We should know our students, get to know them, and keep in mind that we should have a variety of possibilities. And talking about rewards, awarding points, and involving all those things, there is something very important. When we are designing the gamification process for our classes, we deal with rubrics. And rubrics must be very clear. Students have to know, they must know what is involved. You can use the rubrics to unlock achievements. And here you can find an example. You are also going to receive this example. Take a look at this. When you create a clear rubric like this, your students will find it easier to unlock the achievements and go for success. The first achievement we have here is, if one student has total class attendance, he will receive 1 point per unit. But if all the students attend all the classes during that month, they are going to receive, all the students, 1 extra point. Another thing, when students do homework, individual students do their homework for 1 whole month, they receive 10 points. But if the whole group, all the class, everyone completes their homework, you're going to receive an extra point too. I love these last 2 ones. If you help other students, you are going to receive 5 points each time you help your colleagues. But if one student bullies another student, he will lose 50 points each time he does that. So using clear rubrics is a very nice way to reach their intrinsic motivation. Do you like this type of strategy to unlock achievements? What do you think? Tell us. Let's share. What do you think? Would you use this type of strategy? Yeah, Carmen, this is a way of valuing their work and giving feedback. Exactly. Exactly. Thanks for your comment. And we also have to address and think in mind that e-badging is a very nice way of praising and awarding students. It's a very, very, very nice way. All these strategies are good, and as Maria Helena mentioned in the chat, we have to check beforehand the institutional policies. We have to check if we are able to use e-badging or rubrics like the previous ones in order to involve all the students. Yeah, Giancarlo? We need to check if that's going to work, if we can involve our students, and also, Leo, to promote collaborative work, a collaborative environment. Exactly that. So e-badging is very, very easy strategy. You can create badges very easily. You can use any free online badge creator. And I'm sure that your students are going to feel very happy with their collection of e-badges or physical badges. Well, as everything in life, everything that's good comes to an end. And our game now is over. I hope you have enjoyed this session, and now we are going to think about everything we addressed in the past hour. And if you enjoyed this session, go to the chat and write down your favorite drink. Okay? Your favorite drink. If you haven't, write the name of your favorite place in the world. So people who liked your favorite drink. If you didn't, your favorite place in the world. Let's go to the chat and take a look at that. If you give online classes, this is also a strategy you can use. And orange juice, I love orange juice. Wine, coffee, orange juice, soda, I love. Oh, Miguel, I've been to Peru some years ago and I drank lots of chicha morada. I love that. I love that. Wow, you were amazing, guys. Thank you very, 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 very much. Thanks for your engagement. Thanks for your participation. It was amazing to be with you here. And many people like chicha morada. Oh, it's great to be able to share with you, to be with you. And now we are going to address the questions. I've received some questions, and you can also take this time to scan the toolkit. Feel free to access this QR code. You are going to access another version of the presentation. It's bigger, okay? It has more information there. And all the tools I've mentioned are there. If you scan this QR code, you're going to find another presentation, and there, all the slides, more slides, in fact, and all the tools we've addressed. Now let's take a look at the chat, the questions. Okay. How to create e-badges. You can, if you search e-badge creator or badge creator or online badge creator, a bunch of possibilities will appear. It's not difficult at all, to find a possibility. More questions. Let me see, let me check. So many answers. Oh, what kind of game to develop critical thinking in your students? I love the questions. Zola, thank you very much. Thank you. There are some games that we can use in class. We can bring, for example, current issues that are happening all over the world, and we can prepare questions, and students can withdraw the questions and answer them from their perspectives. We can also create escape rooms with many possibilities, and every action will result in something else. So this is very good to develop creative and critical thinking also. Whenever you bring questions for them to solve, for example, problem-solving games, they can also deal with critical thinking, and there are many, many, many possibilities. There are some card games. You can buy them or create them with cues, words that they can use in order to make sentences and deal with some important issues or all kinds of problems that we have in our neighborhood, in our city. We can also develop with them different possibilities using in class, face-to-face classes or online classes, slides. They can bring pictures, they can project the pictures, they can create a set of questions and ask the colleagues. For example, a very beautiful sandy beach with lots of trash. And then a set of questions so that they can discuss solutions and they have a time limit to find solutions for that situation. So many possibilities may arise. And unfortunately, we are reaching the end of the presentation. So I hope you've enjoyed this hour here together, sharing ideas, talking about gamification and neuroscience. So I hope to see you again soon. Thank you very, very much for all your participation, and bye-bye.
Thank you, Claudia. It's been very exciting. You made us play and encouraged us to use this in our classrooms.
Thank you very, very much, and hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Likewise. Okay. Continuing with the agenda, we would like now to welcome National Geographic Learning. National Geographic Learning's mission is to bring the world to the classroom and the classroom to life. With our English language programs, students learn about the world by experiencing it. Through their partnerships with National Geographic and TED, they develop the language and skills they need to be successful global citizens and leaders. Let's find out a bit more about Nat Geo Learning with this short video. Let's go, team.
At National Geographic Learning, we serve English learners by reflecting the mission and work of National Geographic in our programs. We are inspired by Alexander Graham Bell's original goal for the magazine to be about the world and all that is in it. And we try to bring the world to the classroom and the classroom to life. If you look at our learning programs, you'll see that they're like workbook versions of National Geographic, filled with incredible photography, fascinating stories, and the real work of explorers. Explorers in particular resonate with learners because the explorer's search for knowledge and understanding is the very essence of education. At National Geographic Learning, we believe it's an incredible world, and we want to share that with students. We want students to be filled with awe and curiosity by amazing photographs and stories of their world and all that is in it. Because we know that a curious student is a motivated student, and we believe that a motivated student will be a successful student. With our programs, we're always mindful that we're not just teaching vocabulary and grammar. We're opening up the world to students who have otherwise not experienced it. Students in China, Vietnam, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, Eastern Europe, literally everywhere. We want to help these students experience their world and develop their voices. Besides having great National Geographic content, we also work with TED Talks, and we are TED's exclusive partner in English language education. TED Talks are the single most widely sourced videos for English learners, popular both because of the ideas in the talks and because of the natural English used by both native and non-native TED speakers. Ultimately, the incredible content we have from National Geographic and TED enables us to develop programs that are relevant, motivating, and powerful learning tools that bring the world to the classroom and the classroom to life.
Thank you so much, Team SBS. Now we are extremely fortunate to have a great second speaker who will close this first block of the TDC. The renowned international consultant Viviana Castilla with the topic, Reading to Revolutionize the Minds. Viviana has been an English teacher and academic consultant for several years. She has studies in pedagogy as well as teaching courses from the UNAM. She has developed and written ELT texts and online courses for different publishing houses. She's currently working for National Geographic Society in the education area and has a freelance academic consultant for National Geographic Learning. Welcome to TDC, Viviana.
Thank you so much, Geraldine. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you. And well, thank you for being here to all the teachers. So yes, just like Geraldine said, I'm going to talk about reading, but maybe looking at reading with a little different perspective. Try to see it as a tool or as a resource to revolutionize the minds, to make our students more active thinkers, to encourage them to be more critical, etc. So that's what we are going to talk about today. Okay. First, I would like to introduce, just to show you very quickly the agenda, to tell you what we are going to be talking about. So, well, the first aspect that we're going to cover is, why do we teach reading comprehension, right? We are English teachers. Why do we teach reading comprehension? Then we're going to see the development of attitudes through reading. There's different attitudes and characteristics that we can develop in our students through reading. And the last part, we're going to see a reading framework that is going to help us develop these attitudes and characteristics that were mentioned earlier. So let's begin with, well, why do we teach reading? Usually if we answer this question, we're going to have this kind of answers. We have, well, why do we teach reading? Because particularly if we are teaching, for example, high school or university students, many times they have to take a reading test, right? In some universities, they have to take a reading comprehension test to get their degree, or we teach English reading comprehension because we want our students to pass a test or different types of tests. So we want them to pass a test, right, in reading comprehension. And that's fine. It's perfect, right? Then we teach it to improve the reading skills. So we want them to be better readers, of course, and we want them to develop reading skills such as, I don't know, cause and effect, summarizing, paraphrasing, identifying main ideas, details, etc. No? So we want them to be better readers through the development of these reading skills. Great. It's another reason why we teach reading. Then another one is because we want them to improve the reading level. You know how sometimes in some schools we measure the level of reading in our students through Lexiles, for example, Lexile levels. So maybe the students don't have the appropriate level for their age and their grade. So we want to improve and better their reading level. Again, perfect. And also, well, just to make them able to develop in them the skill of extracting general information, right? Because, of course, we read every day, we read everywhere, and we want our students to be able to extract information from texts, from articles, or whichever kind of text that they find in their everyday life. All of this is great, and I think we all do it every day, right? We want our students to be better readers. We want them to develop reading skills because we want them to succeed in the tests, etc. But the message is clear for our students. Our students say, yeah, teacher, sure, pass me that article. I will read it and I will answer the questions and I'm going to get a 10 or A or whatever, however you mark your students. They're going to say, yeah, okay, perfect. Here it is. I answered it. Here you are. But that's not exactly what we want, right? Or maybe we want to go beyond. We don't want to stay there just in saying, okay, yeah, our students are doing great in reading, but they don't connect to the text. They don't enjoy maybe the reading, the text. Maybe they are just worried again just to pass an exam, to pass a test, to make you happy sometimes, right? Or their parents happy. So we know that, of course, this is important. I'm not saying that developing skills and having students pass tests and excel in a test, in a reading test is not okay. Of course it is. And we want to continue developing reading skills in them because it is very important. But we have to think and see reading. It is a good idea to see reading as a means to grow, to discover, and to change. Yeah. So how can we do that? Yeah, that's what we're gonna see in a minute. So we want reading to make our students grow personally, to grow, of course, academically, to grow personally, and also to get to know themselves a little bit better. So we want to connect the reading personally to their lives, to their personalities, etc. We want reading to use reading for students to discover about the world, to discover what is happening, to discover who they are, what other people know and think, etc. To change maybe themselves, change their opinions, change their ideas, but also to make a change. We want them to make a change and contribute more positively to their community, to their family, or even to their city or town. Yeah. So what can we do with reading? What can we do with reading? Well, first, we can create or help develop leaders in society, in our societies. Yeah, we want to have leaders. We want to construct and form leaders, positive leaders. And to do this, we have to invite them and motivate students to raise questions, to question, to interrogate, not just to read, yeah, like, okay, read, answer questions that we are giving them, but to go beyond, right? If we want to have leaders that have their own opinions, and if we want to form students that are more critical and that want to go beyond what they see, well, we have to motivate them to raise questions, to interrogate, to question what they are reading. So we usually, or in the past, like I was saying before, we teach and read to extract information. I need this information, and we just read it, yeah? And we're very good, and us teachers, we are great at just scanning, right, a text. So we want to know, when is the meeting? Monday the 3rd, perfect, and that's it. And we don't even read the rest of the text. So we want to extract information. We are great at that. We can do it very well. But we want, that is not enough. We don't want to just stay there, remain there at that level, which is maybe a little bit more superficial. Of course, academically is great, but we want to connect with our students and with their, we want them to connect personally. So just extracting information sometimes is not enough, right? Because we want to form leaders. And how can we form these leaders? We have to try to develop curiosity in our students. We want them to be curious. We want them to, again, raise questions, question what they are reading, go further. And how can we do this? How can we help our students be more curious when they approach a text? Well, first, we can ask them to think of this question. What does the text say to me? Apart from the information that I'm getting, what do I know about it? No, what do I know about it? What new information did I learn? What is it telling me? Yeah. Then how does it change who I am? Have I changed my mindset? Do I have a different opinion? Do I have a different idea of this? Have I enriched my own knowledge? Have I added information to what I had, etc.? So it's, how did it change me, right? Not like a person at this, so to speak, no. But it's more like how did it change me in what I know, in what I think, in my my ideas, and how might it change what I do in the world? So again, if we want to have leaders, these leaders have to look outside, right? And go beyond the text, or go beyond even maybe the classroom, right? So we want them to see what is going on in our communities, what is going on in our school, if we don't want to go very, very big. But how can this change what I do in the world? I read an article about, I don't know, ecology, for example, right? Or environmental issues, or something related to the environment. Oh, I read it. What can I use from this information that can change what I do in the world? Yeah, this might sound a very obvious example, but it's like that, right? We read something about a water shortage in the world. Okay, so what can this what is this text going to do to me that I can change in the world? And there are so many things that students can do. So again, it is connecting them and saying, well, okay, so to reason the text, reason what they have read, and see what they can do to change. So now I have spoken so far. I think I have I have spoken for a while. So now I would like you, please, to answer this question. You can go to Menti, or you can do it right here in the chat. And do you think, this is your personal opinion, do you think that reading can change who you are? We saw a little bit that, okay, we want our students to change their ideas or opinions, to apply different things. So do you think that reading can change who you are? And here they have put the Menti address and the code. You can go to Menti, or of course you can write your comments here in the comment section. Okay, so I am going to, this is something I didn't check before. Can you still see my screen? If I go to Menti? Okay, good. Okay, so here we have a couple of answers already. We have definitely, maybe, of course, with it we can learn, discover, and change. Reading changes your thinking, yeah. Yes, thank you. I'm going to present it. For sure. Yes, I can improve certain aspects of myself. I can gain new knowledge and apply it to my personal and professional life. Thank you. Open our minds. Absolutely. Sure. It is a way to discover the world, to grow as a person, and to know. Okay, reading can change our critical thinking. Also, when we don't have an open mind. Yes, okay, so most of it, yes. I'll be more smart. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it definitely transforms people's minds. It makes them aware of the real world. Yes, I can become a better person. Yeah, yes, definitely. No change but improve and make me better. Great. Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much for your replies here in the Mentimeter. I'm going to close this so I can go back to the comments here. Reading can help different skills. Yes, my brain operates to decipher the information written. Absolutely, yes, for sure. Enables prediction, creativity. Yeah, great. Can change our ideas. Thank you so much for all your comments. Reading rather than changing expands our horizons. It might boost our potential. Thank you, Leo. Reading rather, yes, reading helps students to open their minds. Yeah, so we all agree about this, about reading, right? How, of course, we're going to gain knowledge about a certain topic. If, of course, we're talking about nonfiction, right? We're going to learn about certain topic, gather more information, but we are also developing many different skills, right? That we're not going to focus on that today, but we know that through reading, somebody put, yeah, I'll be smarter. Well, yes, in a way, because if we develop this critical thinking skills and we use them in reading, of course, we're going to become smarter. We're going to be more analytical. We're going to be able to extract information and make use of it, right? Okay. And reading also increases our vocabulary and gives us more tools to improve skills. Thank you so much for your answers. For sure. So yeah, reading can change us who we are. However, we have to think about how we approach a text. Yes, how we approach a text, because sometimes we approach a text not with a very open mind, because maybe it is about something that we don't like so much. It is something that we find boring, or our students. Let's talk about our students. It is something that they find boring, that they don't like, that they don't agree with. So they might come and approach the text a wall in front of them, right? Like a little bit closed to not very open, not with an open mind to it. So we have to try to help our students and make them be more responsive. So we saw that we want to create leaders that question, that are critical, etc. Now, we also want our students to be responsive, again, to be more open to the text. So, and why? Because what they read matters when they link it to their own experience. So I think this is something that happens to everybody, right? If we don't connect, the more we connect the knowledge or the information that we get to our own experience, the more meaningful it is going to be. It's the same with when they are learning grammar, learning a new structure. If we don't personalize it, it is going to be very rare or alien, let's say, to them. So we want them to connect to the knowledge or the reading by personalizing. Yeah. So connecting it to their own experience. And this way, it is going to be more meaningful for them, and it is going to actually matter to them. So the texts matter when they touch them, and intellectually or emotionally. Yeah. So sometimes the students feel challenged by a text, or they learn something that excites them, like, oh my God, I didn't know this. So that it's going to touch them intellectually, right? Or emotionally, like, oh, wow. It can be positive or negative. So the students and us as well, we have to be aware of the effects that the text has in our students. How are they feeling? What are they thinking? Has it made sense to them, etc.? And the students also have to be alert to their own reactions. Yeah, what did this text mean to me? And again, it doesn't have to be positive all the time, but the objective is that the students interact with the text. They ask questions and then look for answers in the text, or they answer questions about it, or they complement what they are reading, interacting with the text. And again, these don't have to be the reactions or how they connect to the text or their emotions. They don't have to be always positive, because it's like there are things that we like and things that we don't like, of course, but the students can see the effect that a text had in them. Was it amusement, curiosity, surprise, revulsion, doubt, uncertainty? So many things that a text can cause in them. But we have to ask them that question, right? And ask them, okay, how did you feel? Maybe we usually say, I didn't like it. Well, why? Because it's boring. Why is it boring? What would you like the text to have? What kind of text do you think are more interesting for you? So that is a way also of making the students know themselves when they analyze what emotions the text created in them. And we have here that the responsive reading thinks about the effects and tries to make sense. Yeah, tries to make sense the same way. Like, I was surprised by the text. Why was I surprised? Oh, because I've never heard this. No, it blew my mind. And this is great. I want to learn more. So we make them curious. So it's like, we have to try to help them find sense, how they felt, and to make sense of the text. So we want them to be responsive. And it is important that they interact with other students, with their peers, and talk about the reactions, how they respond to the text, because when they are alert to the response and thoughts of other readers, this is going to enrich their individual insight, right? So they say, like, no, when they find, for example, a text that is, they didn't learn anything new, it was dull, it was simple, etc. Maybe the other student says, no, but I like this part. Oh, yeah, you're right. I didn't see that. Oh, I didn't understand it that way. How did you understand it? So that enriches their insights, right? So it's great that students share their input, their ideas, their opinions with other students. And here, just a little small parenthesis. What I usually do and suggest doing when the students are reading together, they're reading the same text, is try to group them with students that are more or less at the same reading level, because in that way, they will understand each other better. and they will help each other better. Because sometimes we put our students to interact, a student that is doing very, very well with one that is a little weaker, that is struggling a little bit, because we think that the stronger student is going to help the other one come up. And yes, but what is the stronger student going to gain from that interaction? And yeah, but it's better sometimes to put the students that are at the same level, because that way they're going to grow together. So when we put them together to read a text or something, try to group them like that. And yeah, the students that maybe struggle more, we will have to dedicate more time to them and go to them, give them more help, maybe more vocabulary, give them extra vocabulary words for them to understand, like pay more attention to them. So it is a good idea to sometimes divide them into groups to read a text, but again, to read and to respond to the text, but again, more or less at the same level. Okay, so responsive students are going to, when they interact with others, they're going to enrich their own perspectives. Okay, so through reading, we want to create students that are leaders, that question and are critical. We want students to respond to the text through the interaction and identifying what they feel and what happens in their mind and in their emotions when they read. But we also want them to be responsible. Yeah, we want them to be responsible. How can we develop responsibility with a text? Well, first we have to see that it is pointless to have information and do nothing with it. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, right, I read this and I don't share it with anybody. Like, again, I'm going back to the theme of ecology, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, there's a water shortage in the world, and yeah, whatever, I cannot do anything. Well, let's try to share it. Let's try to learn a little bit more what I can do with it. It's just reading something and just leaving it there. It's not very responsible, right? It is pointless. It's like you're just gonna keep it. It's also like, in a way, a little bit of generosity, right? And rejecting or accepting something uncritically is also a waste of time. And that happens a lot nowadays with all the information that we have. The opinions are very, very extreme and very opposed in the world, right? Like in political issues and many other issues. And many times we reject information without even being a little bit critical, without even going deeper into the text, or we just accept it, right? Maybe that happens to us, like we see, who wrote the article? No, this one, no, I don't think he's right. Or, oh yeah, is this writer or this journalist that I admire? Oh yeah, he must be. And just accepting it without being critical, it's pointless. So, and that is also irresponsible, right? Because we are just going with the flow without even thinking or without analyzing or being critical. Then, and the reader should question his thoughts, assess the writer's evidence, speculate about his purposes, and come to responsible conclusions. Yeah, so it is important that we question our thoughts, like, okay, why am I agreeing with this? Or why am I disagreeing? Why, etc. And assess the writer's evidence. See what, if the writer is showing us evidence, okay, let's see if this evidence that he or she is showing me, it actually is factual, right? It is a fact. If not, well, okay, so now I'm going to take reading the text with a little pinch of salt. So, and in here, I would like to share an example of a student. This student was in grade 3, around grade 3. He was about 8 years of age, 8 years old. And they are reading, the teacher gives the class a text about headphones, the use of headphones, and which type of headphones affect more your hearing and which ones less. So this person, this writer, who by the way is an ear expert, he does this research about different headphones, the ones that are that you put just on your ears, the ones that you plug inside your ears, and all the different types of headphones, right? So he sees that some have pros, some have cons, and all this. So he's doing some research on all this. And the author concludes that, well, no matter the type of headphones, if we don't want to affect our hearing, then we have to try to use headphones at a lower volume, not a very high volume. Try to, when you listen to music or when you listen to whatever, a podcast or whatever, try to keep it at a moderate volume. That was like the conclusion in the article. So the teacher goes and asks this little boy, okay, so what did you think about the article? Tell me your insights about it, your opinion, etc. And the little boy says, oh, that the author doesn't like music. And the teacher, okay, why do you think that? No, how did you come to that conclusion, right? How did you come up with that conclusion if the author doesn't mention that? And the kid says, well, because I like music and I like to listen to music at a high volume. So he says that we should listen to music and use headphones at a low volume. So he doesn't like music. Okay, so here we have a little kid, right? That he drew his conclusions like that. He dismissed the evidence that the author was presenting of this type of headphones are good, these are good in this sense, not in this sense. So at the end, the conclusion was just you listen to music or use your headphones at a lower volume. So his conclusion was he doesn't like music, but he didn't look at the evidence. Again, this is a kid, but we have to invite the students to see, okay, where does that say? Why? Show me where it says, where that is mentioned, and try to look in the text and not bring our own ideas to draw conclusions that aren't there. Yeah, so we have to be responsible when we give our generate or create or draw, our own conclusions. Well, we also have to be responsible. Are these conclusions from my ideas, from my opinions and my way of thinking, or are conclusions that were presented in the text? So that is also responsibility. It also means to attend to the text, not giving a mere opinion. It's not just giving an opinion about it, like, again, rejecting or accepting something. It's seeing what the text is giving me. No, like this little kid again, that he said, well, the author doesn't like music and that's his opinion or something. No, but the text doesn't say that. Yeah, of course, we can give our opinion about a text, but based on the evidence connected to our knowledge, but not just disregarding what the text tells us, right? Then we have encourage students to pay close attention to what the text says and to what they feel and think as they read. So we again, when we ask the students to read something, what is it saying? How do you feel about it? Do you feel bored? Do you feel curious? Do you feel surprised, amazed, etc.? And think what they think as they read. Are they changing their ideas? Are they adding new information to what they knew? Is it totally new what they are reading, etc.? Now, this is when students are, we try to make them responsible, right? They also have to be aware of the contribution both make, the text and themselves. Because again, sometimes we say, oh yeah, the author says this, or the text says this, and somebody else reads it, and where is it? Oh, well, no, I think so. No, it's like, okay, but it's not on the text, right? So we have to see what, of course, we want them to interact with the text, but we don't want them to they put words to the text that weren't there. But the reader should have an opinion, but they have to recognize between what they bring to the text and what the text brings to them. There is a typo, what the text brings to them. Yeah, so it's like, okay, yes, it's, of course, all opinions are are totally valid, are valuable and everything, but it's not like we're going to put them in the text and this is what the text says. Yeah, so they have to recognize the difference between that. And here we have 3 big questions that we can use to encourage responsibility. And the first one is, what surprised me? What did the author think I already know? What changed, challenged, or confirmed my thinking? Yeah, what surprised me from something I didn't know? So that's going to be something that I know that came from the text, right? What did the author think I already know? What is the author assuming that I know? Yeah. So they think about it, what changed, challenged, or confirmed my thinking. Before we go into, oh, no, I apologize. Then this means that we're going to change thinking when evidence or reason dictates, right? So if we think that, I don't know, that's very, very obvious, right? But if we think that water boils at 200 degrees and then we read like, no, it's 100 degrees and there is evidence of that, well, I have to change my mind, right? There is evidence that it is said there, so we have to change our minds. So close attention to the words implies responsibility to oneself and to the text. Yeah, we have to be responsible with ourselves and to the text. But also, we also have to be responsible to others. And this has to do a lot with social media. Yeah, when we circulate, comment, or share invented stories is irresponsible to others. Yeah, and nowadays we know there is a lot of fake news around, and it doesn't matter the social media on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on Twitter, any social media. There are not a lot or enough people that are checking the facts or fact checkers, right? So, and we are just circulating, sharing, liking information that isn't true, and that is irresponsible, right? Because if we share something, that means that we agree with that or that we think it is true. So that is very irresponsible. And I'm going to tell you a story about this man. This actually happened. Yeah, this happened in New York, in Brooklyn, New York. So this man sees on the street signs of missing a cat or a dog. No, usually are the pets that get lost. So he says he wonders I wonder what would happen if I post an ad or a missing ad that says that I lost my tarantula. So he says, okay, I'm going to do it. Let's see what people think, right? So he did the sign and posted it all around Brooklyn in New York. And the people, and there he says that the tarantula, well, it was a red rump tarantula, that the tarantula liked dark places, like the corners, that it was pregnant and all that. So people were like, oh my God, they started going crazy. Like, oh my God, what happened? What am I going to do? What if the tarantula is here in my house? So everybody was scared. And we are in more tropical countries, like, well, I'm in Mexico City. It's not that I find tarantulas here on the street, right? But when you go to the beach, you can find these huge spiders. We are in more tropical countries in the southern areas. So in New York, it's like a tarantula. Well, it's like you hardly ever find one on the street or somewhere. So people were getting nervous. Okay, so what am I going to do? If I find it in my house, how do I catch it? And people were discussing, how are they going to catch it? Oh, and what if the ex, gives birth? I don't know how to say it. And the eggs hatch, and then you have a bunch of little tarantulas around there. Oh my God. So people were anxious and going crazy about it, until one person calls or continues, looks into the situation, and he says, oh, it was just a joke. I wanted to see how people reacted. So, well, it is funny. Of course, it is a funny story, a good anecdote. And he must have been cracking up at all these people that were going crazy about it. But it was a little bit irresponsible because he caused commotion in the community, right? So people were like, oh my God, oh my God. So it's a little bit of irresponsible. Yeah. So we have to be responsible with what we share and with what we say. Fact check that it is actually true, or that it is not going to affect the readers. And here is a question for you that I would love you to answer in the comments, please. How much are you and your students influenced by fake news? I know we're going to say, no, I'm not influenced at all. But maybe there has been a time when we have believed some fake news. But what about your students? How much are we influenced by fake news? I don't know if you can answer this question, please, on the comments. Would anybody like to answer it? How much are you and your students influenced, or let's say our students, how much are our students influenced by fake news? There is a lot of fake news around. Are we influenced? Do we share them? Not okay, not much. Good. I think social media shares so much to confuse, not much, quite often. Okay, thank you, Gustavo. Jesus, not sure. Yeah, because sometimes we're not sure what we're reading, right? If it's true or not. They're sometimes very influenced. Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. It gets confused, but we all get together and start asking different opinions and get close to the truth. They amaze, surprised. How can we convince someone who really believes? Oh my God, that's somebody's asking here. I'm sorry, I couldn't read the name. How can we? Let me look. Meche. How can we convince someone who really believes something that you know is not real? I think, well, we have to show evidence, right? And try to look for the counter opinion and share it with them. And something that is that they do, right? The social media and all that, is that if we read about certain topic, we're gonna, and even when it is fake, we're gonna get more and more and more information about that topic, because the algorithm sees that we are interested in that in that topic. So we're gonna get more and more information on that. So instead of opening our horizon and looking at a different opinion, or looking at something that is actually real, we're gonna be fed with more and more information that is fake. So we have to be very careful with what we read. Like somebody put here, Gustavo, I guess that, yeah, I try to go to reliable resources. Yes, we have to try, because we can all post whatever we want, right? So, well, then we have students are aware of fake news, but are unable to detect so well. Yeah, I think that's, so it's like helping them, like, okay, who wrote the article, who wrote the text, what interests do they have? Do they have any kind of interests? What are they saying? What are they promoting? And look for the author, what he or she has written, where he has, if he has collaborated with other publishers, etc. So it's like going deeper into the article, into the text, whatever we're reading, to see who is sharing it. What kind of interest does this person have? So maybe it's not true. So it's like going beyond. I remember many years ago that I took a reading comprehension course, how to teach reading comprehension or something. And we were looking at this, how to be critical. And they gave us an article, a text, that said that smoking wasn't that bad. This was many years ago. And then you saw who wrote it. It was a cigarettes company. Of course, they're going to say it's not that bad. They want people to smoke, right? It's a huge business. So it's like they have this interest, and they look for experts that are going to say what they want to say, what they want them to say. So it's like we have to go beyond, right? Okay. Let's see. I always try to make sure it's true. I don't believe in what the news say, honestly, but I think students are too exposed to fake information. Yeah. Some students also investigate before believing. That's great. Students don't take the time to fact check, so they just believe fake news and they become real for them. Yeah. So maybe, again, we have to thank you for all your comments. They're all very, very interesting. Who wins with this? Exactly. There is a lot of fake information, and depending on the age, it can be confusing. Yes. So when we give students something, maybe we can do this exercise, like look for an article that it's depending on the age, of course, that is totally untrue, and have them be reflect on it and say, see, we don't have to believe everything that we read. Yeah, we have to think of what is behind these person, whoever wrote it, and so we can try to be a little bit more objective, right? Okay, because that is responsible. Yeah, that is being responsible. Okay, so another. I'm sorry, I clicked on something wrong.
Yes,
so
you're
sorry.
back. You're back. Thank you.
Okay. Should I share my screen again? Why? Okay, teachers, I apologize for this. I clicked. Can you help me share my screen? My presentation? Okay, I'm gonna share it then. Okay, in the meantime, I apologize for this, and I'm going to, here I have it. Okay, so we were reviewing on, we want students to become leaders, we want them to be responsive, we want them to be responsible, and we want them to be compassionate. Yeah, compassion is going to contribute to see other points of view, other perspectives, and to imagine the feelings of others, yeah, to better understand others' motivations and thinkings. So we also want our students to be compassionate, yeah, because if we make compassionate students, they're gonna be compassionate adults, of course. And as it says here, as I wrote here, compassionate readers might lead to compassionate adults that will involve in conversations with more civility, generosity, and with more kindness towards others. So we want our students to exchange opinions, to interact, but always having this in mind. I have to respect what the other person thinks, even when it is totally the opposite idea of what I have. And we have to be generous enough to listen, to be open to listening to others, because that is going to make we will have a better interaction and form maybe a better society. Not everybody fighting with each other and trying to be right, which is what is happening today, right? Everybody wants to be right. No, they're wrong, I'm right. They're wrong, I'm right. But if we open our minds, if we help our students to open their minds and ourselves as well, open our hearts and be more compassionate, we might accomplish more than just saying, no, you're wrong. Yeah. Okay. So we want to, again, we want our students to be leaders, responsible, and compassionate, because we want to use reading to be better, for our students to be better. So I would like you now to answer, please, this question. Think of a text that changed something about you. Did you realize it then or later? How important is that text to you? Text or book or anything that changed something about you. Maybe it changed your opinion about something. Maybe it changed your idea about something. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm sure there is a text that changed you, it enriched your knowledge of something, it changed your opinion about something. Let's see in the comments. Thank you. Thank you for your understanding. Go ahead, don't worry. This happens to all teachers, yeah. The Bible. Thank you, David. I love quotes about personal development. Make, think, and analyze. Thank you, Roxana. Thank you. The Alchemist. Wow. El laberinto de la soledad. Oh, good. Yeah. Siddhartha. Oy. Siddhartha de Hermann Hesse. I think, oh, I read that one. It was, it's a book that moves you. And also El laberinto de la soledad, because it helps us understand as Latin Americans, right? Appa Style 7th edition. I'm sorry. Harry Potter. Great. Yep. Thank you, Milton. Yeah, it's a great book. Silk stockings changed my way of looking at women, not only as mothers or wives, but as women. Oh, I've never heard of it. I'm going to write it down. Silk stockings. Oh, 100 Years of Solitude, of course. I became fan of Gabriel García Márquez in Colombia. The Little Prince. Memorias de mis putas tristes, also Gabriel García Márquez, right? 1984. Wow. Okay, Jimena says, when I read about the importance of an emotional connection when teaching, it's important because sometimes so much when searching for strategies. Yeah, okay. El retrato de Dorian Gray, La Vuelta al Mundo en 80 días, Da Vinci Code, Metamorphosis, Paradise Lost. So many I haven't read, but oh, Animal Farm, it's a good one too. Okay, so thank you so much for sharing this. Now, we're gonna just go into this framework. Yeah, this framework. So now we know we were looking at this, how we can perceive reading in a different way. Again, it is very important, of course, that we continue developing reading skills because we're teaching English and we want our students to be successful in the language, etc. But here is this framework that we can use to develop and to develop our students' curiosity, to make them leaders, to make them responsive, compassionate, and responsible. And it is called the Book, Head, Heart Framework. So we are going to invite our students that when they read, they think about what is in the book. Remember, what is the book telling me, or the text, right? What is the book telling me? In your head, this is what I am bringing into the book or into the text. And in your heart, this is what I am feeling and how I am changing, what emotions I am feeling. So we're going to invite our students to do that. So in the book, of course, it is important to understand what's in the text. And for this, students need, as you were saying at the beginning, reading helps us develop vocabulary, grammar, thinking skills, etc. So this is when we're going to develop all this. So this is when the students decode, comprehend, and answer questions from the text. And we assess the use of strategies. So we can just ask them questions such as, what's this about? Who's telling the story? What does the author want me to know? Like specific questions about the text. Yeah. Then we have, this is when we use in the book. In your head, we want that students understand the text itself, but we also want them to see how it strikes them. Yeah. Reflect on what they find in the text. These are the questions that we saw before when we want them to be curious. What surprised me? So I didn't know. Now I know it. So it's in my head. What does the author think I already know? What changed, challenged, or confirmed my thinking? What made me change my thinking? I had the idea of this. Now I think like this. What in the text caused that? And in your heart, so this refers to the feelings that the students feel, the emotions that they feel with the text, and to the student's sense of self, their values, attitudes, beliefs, and commitments. And it also suggests that reading is about growing, about changing who we are and see ourselves from a different perspective. Yeah, it's like this is gonna, looking at the emotions that are aroused throughout the text are gonna make the students get to know themselves a little bit better. Because I'm sure it happens to you, it happens to us all the time, or it happens sometimes, like sometimes something makes us angry, and what made me angry? Why did I feel uncomfortable? Why am I uncomfortable? I was just reading this. Oh, this. And then we get to know ourselves. So this makes me uncomfortable. I wonder why it makes me uncomfortable, etc. So it's like we get to know ourselves more and see ourselves from a different perspective. Oh, so this, or we read something that we find very, very amusing. So, oh, so I didn't know that I liked this kind of things, right? So some questions that we can ask our students is, what did the text help learn about myself? What did the text help me learn about others? How has a text changed my feeling about the world? How will my actions or feelings change as a result of reading this text? So we have this framework. We can ask our students to focus and motivate us or guide our students to focus in the text, in the head, in the text, in your head and in your heart, to connect all that. And with that, we are going to make our students better readers, better people, and maybe people that will want to do something for society. However, just one thing, we don't have to every text that we read, we're going to ask our students, okay, what's in the text, in your heart, in your head? Because sometimes there are texts that don't give us all that, right? That they're very simple, shorter, that are not going to allow us. But maybe when you read something, when they read a story, when they read another type of article, something that is longer, something that is more robust, or that gives us, like we say here, and maybe you say that más carnita, no? That it's richer, then maybe that we can exploit, we use it. It's not about like every text that we see on our book, we're going to use this framework. No, we have to find the one that is appropriate and is going to develop this in our students. So, but we can start by asking them, did anything surprise you? Did you learn something new? How did you feel? Did you learn something about yourself, that maybe you like something that you I don't know, those kind of questions that are going to help our students connect to the text. And these, of course, I didn't come up with all these ideas. I took all this information from this book that is called Disrupting Thinking. And well, this book suggests this, to disrupt the way we think and we approach to a text. So do you have a takeaway? Is there a takeaway, something that you're taking home, or that you taking to your class, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, or if not, it's perfect. If there is a takeaway, please share it in the chat. Something that you take with you. Oh, Roxana says, it's like being part of the book. Books can be sometimes extension of us. Great framework. Thank you. Okay, or if you have any questions, please feel free to share them here in the chat. Yes. Thank you, Roxana. Thank you, Fernando. He will take the framework. Great. Great. Thank you, Mirka. Yeah, interesting framework. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it gives a different perspective on reading, and maybe we can even make reading more enjoyable for students, because sometimes it's not so enjoyable. Thank you. What readings do you recommend to use in class? I think, well, it depends on the grade, but I do think that we have to offer different kind of reading to students, like, fiction and nonfiction, give them combination of both, even sometimes poetry, short stories, etc. So I think we have to think of different types of texts to give to our students, and try to look for texts that are age appropriate, of course, and And maybe, yeah, depending on, of course, also on the students' interests, something that is related to what they are working on, so it will be easier for them to understand, and not everything is totally new for them, and that's going to complicate them, the reading. But I do think that you have to find fiction and nonfiction, and if the students are capable of doing, well, reading some short stories, children's stories that are authentic ones, if the students can do it. But, well, not if the students can do it, if they have more or less the same level, but always remember that we have to guide them and support them in the reading. When we offer to them something authentic, try to find ways to support them. I think they are. Meche says, are classics good options to give to our students? I think they are. Yeah, because it's also very enriching culturally, right? Our students learn about culture. We just have to find, again, one that can adapt. Like, for example, somebody mentioned the Picture of Dorian Gray as a book that changed something about them. And, well, Oscar Wilde has this beautiful, beautiful short stories that they can be very interesting for students and fun for all ages. We can find the children's versions, like condensed and all that. I think it's great. Classics is a great idea. Of audiobooks, thank you for your question, Roxana. I have to say that I have very little experience with them, or none. I've never heard to a book, but I know it's very practical because it saves you a lot of time. I mean, you can listen to the book as you are driving or at different moments during the day. So I think they're very practical. And at the end, I think that the skills or strategies that we are developing when it is on print, we can also develop them when we are listening. So I don't see why we shouldn't use them. Maybe we can vary the way we do it. What strategies can we use in reading with your students? Okay, so I would say that again, depending on the age, but well, most of the strategies are the same, but we have to find ways to adapt them. But I would say that we can start by reading styles like skimming, scanning, right? We start skim the text. What is it about? Scans for information, finding a specific information, for example. Those are like the simplest, like identify specific information is like very simple, right? Or simpler for the students when they have to just find a specific information. But then maybe we can go to identify the main idea. And that requires a lot of work, right? So, and I think that's something that we can adapt to any type of text, because many times texts are better to develop one strategy than another one. Like maybe one can help us develop cause and effect, whereas other can help us develop sequencing. So I think main idea is a good strategy that we can start, and encourage students to tell you the main idea of a text in a short line or short paragraph. Okay, sorry.
It's okay. I do have a takeaway. I like what you said about responsibility. And now I'm going to encourage my students saying, you have a superpower, which is reading. And a superpower, a great power takes great responsibility. So I really like that idea, because it is a responsibility for we're going to read something. So we have to give something back. I love that.
Oh, thank you, Geraldine. Thank you so much. Thank you, teachers. And I'm going to go into the chat on YouTube to read all your comments, and we can continue interacting. Thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you, Viviana. So as you heard, Viviana is going to continue reading, because there were some other questions there in the chat. Hopefully she can answer to some of them. Thank you. And thank you also to Claudia, to all our speakers for their participation, and to all of you teachers who have been connected to the TDC this afternoon. I've seen that we've been nearly 300 with YouTube and Facebook. That's wonderful. Thank you all. And it's been a a wonderful experience to be able to share all this knowledge, information with all our fellow teachers and colleagues. We will be waiting for you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Just remember to connect a few minutes before so as not to miss any of the details of the events. We also remind you that tomorrow's event will be divided into 2 blocks. The one in the morning with 3 presentations from 9 to 12 noon, and the one in the afternoon from 3 to 5 for the final 2 presentations. Now, the certificates of attendance. Remember that you only have to be registered. All the registered participants of the event will receive an email with a link at the end of the event so that they can register the information for the certificate. The certificate will be awarded to participants who attend 70% of the conferences, that is 5 conferences. If you have not yet registered, please do it now. There's the link. You just have to be registered and you will receive an email. That's it. Have a nice Friday evening. We're leaving here very motivated and see you tomorrow. Goodbye.